Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of Paint with Sean. So today we are continuing on our mountain scene. We've got the sky in the background, mountains, trees. We've got a sweet little path coming up and around. And so today we are going to focus on a waterfall. So how to make a waterfall. So this is very simple. This is realistically just a matter of the angle of the stroke, okay? So it's going to come up to the edge and we're just going to stroke it down, and then some little fluffy stuff at the bottom will break it up, and then we're going to have a little bit of water down here, and then we're going to run it out as a little bit of a river stream path situation. So today we're just going to do the waterfall piece, and then we'll come back and sort of fill in the rest around it here. So I've got this color going on here. This was done several episodes back, so if you haven't watched how we got to this place, there's a piece-by-piece, step-by-step painting that we're doing here, instructing you on every simple step that builds this world. So you can check that out. This is a little bit of a darker blue here, and that sort of is going to be the indicator of an edge of something, which is okay if we end up covering it up, but lighter in the foreground and closer in the background. We did that opposite over here, where we wanted it to look real shadowed and shady on our path, where when it got closer there might be a little bit better view, so we got it lighter. So I'm just going to come into some of my blue down here, and this is a very vibrant blue, so I'm going to touch into some of the black and just sort of calm it down a little bit so it's a little more of a grayish blue. Okay, and I'm going to add just a touch of the yellow, so it will make it a little bit more of a greenish blue going on here. Okay, and I'm going to do this just as a background color, so that when we put the white on, it's got something to work with. Okay, so we're dealing with a real dry canvas here, so that's another part of this, is getting colors to kind of mix and blend is a little bit difficult sometimes if the canvas is dry. So I wanted to create a color that's about the same as this, and then we're just going to indicate the motion of the water. Okay, so you can see how that little drop just makes it look like water falling off the edge here. Okay, so again we're just gonna make a little bit of a cliff type face going on. Okay, and this is all just going to be sort of filled in. We are going to have a little bit of overhang over here, and that's all right because we're going to cover that up with some rocks, but we want this to be very flat at the top. Okay, so I'm filling this in because that's not going to be the final effect here. Okay, so we're going to have our water come off in white. Oh, and I'm tipping this too much. I'm running it right off the palette. Okay, so I'm going to come over into my white, get a good amount of that here, and mix into this color. Okay, so I want this to be a significantly lighter color so that we can really see some of these brush strokes. Okay, and I don't want a ton of paint, but I do want to have that breakage in the tip of the fan brush. That's very important to be able to indicate the streaks. Okay, so now we've got a little bit of a lighter color here, and we're going to do the same motion again. We're just going to bring it down. Okay, so this little lateral and then over the top. Okay, and a lateral and over the top. Okay, and these little breaks of color, that's totally fine. Okay, so we want to indicate that stuff, and then again we'll just go back straight into our white, and I just want to have a muddled color. Okay, so I want it to be some white, some blue. Okay, and again we're just going to give this indication. Okay, and then at the bottom here, where it starts to break a little bit, okay, and then we're just going to indicate that maybe this came from back in there, whatever happens. Okay, so a nice little indication of that water playing from far off in the back, and this is just sort of the dropping point. Okay, so I don't want too much in there. We want that water to really show those streaks. Very important to have the streaks all go in the same direction. Okay, And then my last one, I'm just going to get some real bright white here. And again, just a light touch. I just want a little bit of that. Okay, it's going to be a little bit rougher at the top of the waterfall, so we can have a little bit of white coming on here and some little foams. Okay, and just those little streaks. I don't want to cover up every little piece of dark underneath. Okay, and so again, this is really just about a light touch and this difference in color. Okay, so a little bit of white, get it nice and bright, couple of streaks here and there. All right. Okay, so we've got some white going on here. Again, I don't want this to all be just like super bright white, but maybe we'll have something else going on over here where it's not a straight waterfall. Maybe there's a little bit of a splash that comes up. Okay, and maybe it's splashing up here, and we can put a little rock right here in the middle that makes it look like this is a disturbance in the water. It's not perfect right there. There's something going on. Okay, and maybe over here we're going to have another rock, so we want to get a good little splash going on there, and maybe there's a little bit of one happening on this corner. Okay, and again, as long as we have these strokes that come down, it will show the movement of that water. All right, so we've got our little waterfall situation here. We can add just a tad bit more of this white right here at the top. Okay, and this breakup of the water makes it look so it's not so perfect. Okay, maybe there's a few little pieces in here that are just broken water. Okay, it's not exactly perfect. That gives that indication of movement and some little things happening. Okay, so we really want to keep these streaks coming downwards. All right, so we'll put a little bit of messiness going on in here. All right. So cool, so we've got some breakup of the water, we've got our waterfall coming down, and then at the bottom, we want this to be real choppy as well. Okay, so again, we're going to come into our white here, and we're going to have an upstroke. Maybe this just breaks, okay? We want to add a little bit more straight white going on. And it's all choppy at the bottom. All right, and I've still got this same dirty brush that has that blue in there. So we're getting some real good highlights and lowlights, splashes and things happening, okay? So the less perfect it is in color, the more dimension it looks like it has, right? So we can get a few little fluffs up in here and there, and it looks like things are going on, okay? So again, we've got our water splashed down, and it has to have somewhere to go, right? It can't just sit in this little pool. So we want this to come down and around and sort of finish out like a little river coming off of this mountain lake. All right, so I'm going to come back into my semi-darkish blue color, and we're going to mix up some more of that because we used a good bit of it. We're going to get, again, a little bit of that yellow in there, a little bit of black going on, a whole bunch of blue, a little bit of white. Got a little bit too much black in there, so I'm going to toss some more blue onto it. I want it to stay fairly blue like water. But that little bit of yellow, if you ever really go by a river and you look at a river, they're usually more on the greener side, okay? So they're not always typically just that, blue color that we think of as water, okay? So that's why I'm adding a little bit of this green to it. Green. I'm adding yellow and then making sort of this same color. So again, I want this to be a little bit darker just for the sake of giving it contrast. Okay. And so now again, the direction of the flow of the brush is what's going to show the direction of flow of the water. All right. So we're gonna start up here, and again, this is just for indication. Okay. And again, this little bump, maybe there's something going on in the water right there. Okay. And I'm just putting in some background color for this water to flow on. Okay, and we can pull some of this in there, and I don't need this to be super deep. All right, it doesn't have to be a huge thing. Okay, and we're just going to splash it. So I want to bring this down so it's more of a flat area, and then we can add some dimension to the water. So we can see that it sort of flows out over here, and we want this edge to be very flat. We can add a little bit of water splash to it. Okay, so I'm going to just sort of wipe off a good majority of that paint. I don't care if the same color is on there, because I'm going to go into the white and really do again some more sparkles. Okay, and the more contrast this is with the white, the harder the splash looks. Okay, so I wanted some of this to actually dry a little bit before I tried to put some more white on it. The more pure that color is, again, the more it will stand out. Okay, so we've got some real good things going on. And again, now I've got this white on here. I just want to bring it on through. Okay, so just little indications here and there that this water is flowing. Okay, so I want this to sort of come from back here and not have too much going on, just a little bit here and there. Okay, we don't want this water to be flat. We want this little bit of movement going on. Okay, that indicates some things happening. There's ups and downs and waves and all kinds of things. All right, so I'm just going to get a little bit more white on here, get a little bit more of some choppiness. Okay, and anytime we want something to happen, we can give it a little bit of a splash. So right here, there's a little bit something happening. Okay, you can always just pull that little bit up. All right, water doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and we can just add little details as much as you want. Maybe a little something going on right there, who knows? It's your world, guys. That's what Bob told me. He said it was fine. You can make your own little space and you decide. You're the master of your own domain in there. And he really meant that. Okay. So we've got sort of an indication of this is coming down and water coming through there. So we've got some real good things going on, guys. I'm really enjoying this one today with you. Hopefully you're painting along. Okay. If you're not, that's okay. It's fun to just watch sometimes, but I'd love to see what you're painting. If you're actually doing this along with me, you know, throw me a comment with a picture if possible. If not, find me on social media. You can send me a little message, and it's a pretty easy thing to find me. I don't hide too well. But show me what you're doing. Okay, I'd love to see what is the work that you're doing out of the stuff that we're working on here. Okay. I'm just going to sort of finish this off a little bit with some extra little strokes of white and things happening, okay? Just little pieces here and there of this breakup, okay? And when we do our episode on rocks, okay, that's how we really start to make this look realistic, where it's not just water on its own, okay? So I'm just throwing in a few little breakups here and there and making the water not look flat. That's very important. We don't want this to look like perfect flowing, okay? So these little indications of some things going on. Maybe we got a little extra going on there and a little here. Who knows, all right? So we've got some good breakup going on down here. I love the little pieces of highlights and lowlights and all the little things. So we've got our waterfall. We've got it fairly well flowing out down here. The last piece I want to do is just add a little bit more blue into this, because it's sort of one color of blue and then one color of white. So I want to come into some of this more pure blue that I have over here. Okay, and I just want to use little indications of some things, little streaks. Okay, it's sort of like a highlight. Okay, and these little bits are going to show through as little differences in the dimension of this. Okay, so I don't want too much, I just want little bits to show. And again, you guys can use whichever brush you want. Okay, we got a little bit going on in the water, a little bit there. Okay, just tiny bits, little indications of some color change happening. Okay, so I hope you guys had a good time with this today. I think we'll call that good on our little water situation, so we're not playing with it too much as it goes, because you can mess with these forever. But again, the strokes and the little pops of the white at the bottom where it's, you know, splashing back up, and then some movement out to distribute. I think these are some really good indicators of stuff happening in our world. So appreciate you guys. I really hope you had a good time doing some water stuff with me today, and we will continue on with this painting in the next video. We'll see you then.